Johnson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you could play a song called Take This Job and Shove It. And we're going to end up capoing this on 3rd fret to kind of match the recording, but we're going to start off with kind of that intro lick in root position. We're going to start off with a kind of an open D, and then 2nd fret on the D, and then 4th fret on the D to kind of lead into our first part. So it's kind of a take this job and shove it. An O, 2, 4 on the D string to lead into a G major chord. And we play G major. First finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the low E string 3rd fret, and 3rd finger on the high E string 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now, you may also want to think about putting the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, pinky on the high E string 3rd fret, and kind of working that for your G major. And then from the G, we go to a D major chord. When we play D major, first finger goes to the G on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the high E 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the B string 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major chord. That sounds really, really happy. Now, while you're on Ds in general, it can be kind of cool to lift off the 2nd finger and make that a D suspended 2nd. Or you could add in the pinky on the high E 3rd and kind of make that a D suspended chord and kind of say some things around the D. And then from the D, we do kind of 3 Ds on our chorus, and then we go to an E major chord. And we play E major. First finger goes to the G on the 1st fret, 2nd finger on the A string 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the D string 2nd fret. If you strum all those together, that sounds an E major chord that sounds really happy. And you may also want to think about lifting off the 3rd finger and using an E7 chord. Or you could take the pinky and kind of add it on the B 3rd fret, kind of give it a little bit more bite. And then from the E, we'll be going to an A major chord. We play A major. First finger goes to the D on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the B string 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, it sounds an A major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. Now you may also want to dig on kind of lifting off the 2nd finger, that making that an A7 chord, or you could readjust the fingers and kind of add in on the high E on the 3rd fret and kind of get an A7 sound that way. And then from the A, we go back to our D major, another D, and then back to G, and then another D, and then to G, D, and then an A, and then we kind of do a D with kind of a hit, kind of at the very, very end of that. So there's a couple different strumming options through the tune. Actually, you could work just kind of a down idea, kind of an 8 down idea could kind of work, and I'm kind of swinging that a little bit, and adding a little bit of beauty to it. But you may want to kind of play around with that. Or one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we took the G and just tried that a lot. You'd have down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Or a cool variation of that is kind of a down, up, down, up, up, down, up. We'd have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. Or you could even mix it up between them. So we tried that through that intro chorus. We'd have that O, 2, 4, G, D, right on that D hit, actually, you'll kind of hear this cool little lick that kind of leads into our verse part, where you can play the open D, and then open A, and then 3rd on the A, and then 4th on the A, and then open D, and then 3rd on the A, and then 2nd on the A, and then open A. It's almost kind of like this moving swing bass line, kind of a D, A, C, C sharp, D, D, C, B, A, O, O, 3, 4, O, O, 3, 2, O. Wanted to on the verse, you could even kind of follow that for kind of your D chord idea, and then for the G chord, you could almost do like a little arpeggio of that, where you could, and arpeggio just means broken chords, so you kind of take the G, but you could go low E, and then A, and then D, and then back to the A on the G chord. So it's kind of this 3, 2, O, 2 could kind of be your G idea. And on the A chord, you could kind of do an open A, 4th on the A, 2nd on the D, and then back to 4th on the A is kind of an A idea. A, C sharp, E, C sharp. So if you wanted to, you could even kind of follow the verse with kind of that lick. So you'd have that D to kick it off, and then we'd have D the idea, and more D, big G hit and then a D hit at the very end of the verse. Or you could just kind of strum that. And on the D's, actually, there are a couple places where you have to kind of cheat that and just do the first 4 notes of that D lick that we were talking about. But if we tried it with our strumming, you'd have that D lick to kind of kick it off. And then D, to kind of lead into our next chorus part. Now the weird part is to play along with Johnny Paycheck. Instead of starting on a G chord, it's kind of starting that lead off into a B flat major chord. So to play along with the recording, what you want to do is take a capo, and you put the capo on 3rd fret. Then now your G is really a B flat major, your D is really an F major chord, your A is really a C major chord, and your E is really a G major chord. But to take it from the very beginning, you may want to kind of kick it off with kind of that intro chorus, kind of that O, 2, 4, G, and then from there, we'll be going into our first verse. So you might want to use that D lick. And then D, G, G, D, D, and then G, and then half a D, half a D, and then G, D. Job and then we'd be going into our next chorus. Now, one other thing I think about adding to the song though is more bass notes, and a lot of times on that first down, the down, down, up, down, up, or the down, up, down, up, down, up, you could throw in a bass note for the chord. So on the D, you'd have the D for the bass. On the G, you'd have low E for the bass. On the E, you'd have the low E for the bass, and on the A, you'd have the A for the bass. So we tried that through our next chorus. We kind of have that. Take this job and shove it. And then we go into our lead off, kind of that O, 2, 4, G with low E bass, D with the D bass, D with the D bass, D with the D bass, E with low E bass, A with an A bass, D with the D bass, D with the D bass, G with low E bass, D with the D bass, G with low E bass, D with the D bass, bass, and then kind of our D hit to lead into kind of our D lick. Or you could just kind of strum through that. And if we tried our next verse with basses, we'd have D with the D bass, D, G, G, into our last chorus, and then we kind of kick off into that lick, kind of O, 2, 4, and then the G, D, A. Now, if you know the licks around these chords too, you know, feel free to take this lesson and run with it any way you wanted to. G, D, A, and we kind of have a big hit on the D. Go into kind of our outro licks where you kind of hear this open D, and then 2 on the low E, and then 3rd fret on the low E, and then open A, and then we kind of stop. And then we come back and we go 2nd on the low E, 3rd fret on the low E, and then open A, and then we kind of pick it up on an A chord, and then a D chord, and then we can have a D with kind of a bass down, up, down, kill the strings at the end. So through that whole outro, you got that 2, 3, O. And you wait 2, 3, O, A, D, kind of a D. But that's the basics of how you could strum through "Take This Job and Shove It" by Johnny Paycheck. So good luck.